So yeah, so it was quite popular. 76,000 was the first night, and this was the game. It was a very simple flash game, which was synchronised as close as we could get with the TV. You were given £1 million of virtual money, and you could apportion it in exactly the same way as the contestants could. And what you're trying to do is to survive as many questions as possible with as much money as possible. And what we were trying to do is get people to share that through Facebook and Twitter, which they did. And the results sort of spoke for themselves. We were really, really happy with the figures that came out of it. 450,000 players over the week. It was a week-long event, by the way. It started on Monday and ended on Friday. This percentage in the middle is most interesting. It's really difficult to get people to pick their laptop up and interact with TV that isn't designed for that purpose. You know, like The Apprentice, it's not actually designed to be played along with, but this was. And so we saw that percentage, and I'll put that in context in the next slide. And on the busiest night, on Thursday, there was 102,000 people playing it, which again was a really high number compared with some of the other stuff that we've done. And this puts it in context. You can see The Apprentice there. 0.2 of the TV audience for weddings was slightly higher, and then the £1 million drop, 4.5. And you know, there's no reason why that couldn't be 20 or 30 if it's integral to the show. And one of the great side effects of this sort of buzz around the show is that, and you can't underestimate the power of this. I know that Twitter is comparatively niche, but the reach that it has is really great, and the influence that it has is really great. And by the third show, we were trending every single night on Twitter, and suddenly we started to see the sort of fruits of our labour. I think that was driving TV audiences. Pretty hard to prove it, but that's what I think anyway. So, of course, after this, we all sat down and we go, okay, what drives these numbers? How can we get them up and up and up? And the answer for me is really simple. It's about integrating the whole concept of involvement, of playing along, into the very core of the show. I think £1 Million Drop did it like that much, but I think there are shows out there that could do it this much, and there's no reason why we can't be making shows that sort of accept that there's hundreds of thousands of people that could play along live online. Oh, this is time to check. Who's still in the game? How many minutes am I in? Hang on. I'm about 14 minutes. Better hurry up. Hang on. 14:49. Anyone still in? Has everyone got? Yeah? Oh my God, okay. Right, that's me done then. See ya. Okay. So I think the sort of accepted wisdom amongst people like us, I mean, I'm sort of half gamey, half TV, but there's an accepted wisdom that TV is dying, that broadcast TV is dying, and it's not going to be here in 10 years. And certainly new media types are very happy about that when they talk to TV people to tell them that their industry is dying. It's very sad. But it's not really true. The Ofcom report that just came out last week, I'm sure none of you have really bothered to read it. It's about 235 pages, but one of the interesting stats that did come out of it was that people are spending more time watching TV than they did in 2004. Now, that might be because we're in a recession and they can't afford to go out, but even if it had been a flat result, I think there'd still be some surprise that catch-up services, VOD, all that sort of stuff hasn't eroded people's TV time. So that's certainly a surprise to some people. It's not really a surprise to me because we know that that's the case. People are just watching a lot of TV. But the problem is this. It's that this abundance of stuff is creating a massive scarcity of our attention. We're like kids in sweet shops. We just don't know what to do. There's so much stuff. I want to do everything. I love Facebooking, and I love Twittering, and I love texting, and I love browsing and buying my stuff online. I like watching telly, I like watching films, I like playing my Wii, I just like doing all of it. And when a new thing comes in, an old thing isn't disappearing. I mean, you would have thought that texting might have gone out of fashion, but it hasn't. So we're sort of stacking up our options to a point where there is no more of our time to do it. And here's the problem. This is our time. This is the limiting factor. And in economics, the price would go up, wouldn't it? Like the price of time would go up. because there's a scarcity of it. But of course, you know, you can't really buy time, can you? Unless you sleep less. And there are studies to suggest that people are just sleeping less because they like this stuff so much. So what happens when you have this scarcity, and you know, this is just my theory, but I think that people are sort of driven to human solutions, efficiencies, and I think we're turning ourselves into these sort of media consumption machines. A bit like Jerry's daughter there, she's got all of these devices and she's enjoying all of them. She's doing a lot of stuff at the same time, and that's great. You know, fantastic. People are getting a lot more of what they like. And this same report came out and said that people are squeezing, let me have a look at it, 8 hours and 40 minutes worth of stuff into 7 hours a day. It's quite amazing. And then kids, and they're not even kids, 16 to 24, are fitting 9.5 hours worth of media into a little over 6.5 hours of actual time. I mean, it's utterly amazing. It does count texting and voice calls, by the way. So if that's the case, if we're solving the problem with our sort of efficiencies and our multitasking, then there isn't a problem, right? So broadcast TV is fine, it's getting watched a lot. But I think there is. I don't think it's quite as it seems. I think what we're doing is juggling more. And although we may be doing all of these things, we're giving them all a lot less attention than we could have done in the past when there were less things to do. And this was a theory which is backed up by this same report. It's just, this report's fantastic. Look at the attention level that people rated console games played on TV. Not a big surprise. It gets your attention. You have to concentrate on it if you're not going to get shot or lose or whatever. 4.2 out of 5. Downloaded TV was interesting. So people who've actively gone out and downloaded a show that they want to watch also gets a very high attention rating. But what's interesting is that broadcast TV is at the bottom, right there, 3 out of 5, and that's a really low rating. People are not paying that much attention to broadcast TV, even though they're watching a lot of it. It's very much a part of their lives and they love it, but it's coming down the pecking order when it comes to attention. And my worry from the TV business perspective is that it could turn into audio-visual wallpaper if it isn't already. It's very often something that you turn on when you walk in and you do something else. In the future, it could get to a point where TV really is just something that you have on in the background and that you switch off when you go to bed. And every now and then it sort of catches your attention when something happens, which is fine for, you know, Sky Sports News or something like that, but not so fine if you're trying to create a rich drama, or if you're reliant on people sort of understanding the nuances of a relationship or something like that. And even a game show, if you miss the introduction to the person, you don't get to love that contestant and see through their eyes, then the game show becomes less good. So I think there's a big risk from the TV industry's perspective. And again, I think it's all about the youth. If you look at this highlighted area here, that's the 16 to 24-year-olds. They're spending as much time using interactive media, and text is the biggest one of it. They're used to getting responses and they're used to communicating with people. And less than half of the stuff that they're doing is passive, and they are consuming half as much TV as the 55 plus segment. So that's a glimpse of the future, and I suspect if you went below 16 you'd see an even more worrying picture for the TV business. So that's why I think broadcast needs something different. Right, so for weddings we did some research, and I'm going to try and be light on the stats stuff because it's getting a bit boring, but for weddings 84% of people said they were more inclined to watch live because they played along. That's a small section, but it's again a glimpse of the future. If the majority of them want to do that, then that means less time shifting, it means the channel will make more from advertising, that's all music to their ears. Great. People liked hearing the on-air continuity referring to the ratings results. It enhanced their experience. I think like sharing stuff makes it better. So if you feel as though you're part of something, it's going to make that experience much better. We all know that. But the TV business is largely still a transmit business, a passive business. And by far the majority claim to enjoy the game. Again, not a massive surprise, but when you put it in context, you think, well, could this be a sort of a solution in the long term? another little comment that I got from somebody, I can't remember who exactly, but during £1 Million Drop, he said this. It went to an ad break. I'd normally have flicked over and started watching something else, but he stuck with it because he had money on it. And of course they love that because they're watching the ads and they're not going somewhere else. So it makes the show more sticky as well. So back to the sort of title of my talk. I mean, it's a bit provocative. I'm not sure that broadcast TV really needs rescuing today, but I think its sort of attention, its meaningfulness over time will erode. I think that creating experiences that work with TV, particularly in real time, mean that people will obviously want to watch live because there's no point watching it on catch-up if it's all about being involved. And that sort of justifies the existence of broadcast to a degree. And that more involvement, and this is really important, I think, for channels, for TV channels, means that you're going to have a deeper relationship with that channel. It means if that channel does something else which isn't to do with broadcast TV, you're going to know about it. I think channels need to they need to retain these audiences and keep them involved with themselves so that they can basically send them off to other things that they do, whether that's live events or whether it's online stuff. So that's the sort of that's my theory in effect, and I think the solution is down to people like you. It's down to collaborations and really fundamental collaborations between the gaming industry and the TV production industry, and I think there's a risk that both sides perceive each other a certain way, which prevents this being possible. You have to have a lot of respect for the TV production industry. When you see those development producers come up with those ideas so quickly, and they construct this fantastic sort of linear show, you think, wow, I mean, I could never do that. It's fantastic. You can't imagine that people like us could create those shows. But then you also need to earn their respect for them to feel as though you've got a point of view that's worth having, and you also need to be able to deliver, and that's the main thing. You need to be able to deliver on your promise. If you say you're going to connect up hundreds of thousands of people, you better know how to do it, and you better know how to do it without it going wrong, because at least half of it happening will be down to your ability to actually deliver on your promise. So this is what I think is involved. It's a collaboration between TV, between people like us who sort of connect people together, the gaming industry, talent is a key part of it, and the technology. I don't think it should be technology-led. I don't think we should say, what can we make for the iPad just because it exists. I think it needs to be about the core concept of the show. And, hang on, what are we up to? Who's still in? I'm about to press stop. 25, 22.5. Anyone? Anyone close? 23? 25 and 4 seconds? Okay, you're a bit out. It's 25 and 22. Anyone closer? I'm sorry, I'm cheapening the whole thing, aren't I? Anyone closer? It looks like it's yours. 25 and 4 seconds. There you go. There's your money. And you realise I need to check that you're not lying. No. You can have the money. You had 25. 25.33. Sorry.
Well done, Michael.
There you go. There you go.
Tom, is that you done?
I've just got one point to make. Sorry, false ending. I've got a little. Can you get this back on, please?